If you want to know what it looks like to be a public figure in the United States of America in 2025 and have integrity and ethics, look no further than Jerry Greenfield of Ben&Jerry's. Yesterday, Jerry quit his job at the ice cream maker after more than 50 years because the parent corporation, Unilever, has been silencing Jerry and the ice cream company from speaking out on global social and environmental issues. Now, Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield founded Ben&Jerry's more than 50 years ago, but in 2000, they sold it off to the British corporation Unilever. Part of that sale included Ben&Jerry's maintaining an independent board and to be able to continue its social mission. Ben&Jerry have been, y'all, they're real ones. They've been activists from the very beginning. They have consistently spoken out on social and environmental justice issues for decades and decades. And they're like, okay, if we're going to sell our business for $300+ million, we want to be able to continue to advocate for the causes that we care about. Now, Ben Cohen ultimately retired, and we saw earlier this year that he was still doing what he does. He protested in front of the Senate at an RFK Jr. hearing. He and a number of other activists came in and interrupted the whole hearing and spoke out about the American government funding the genocide in Gaza. We'll see if TikTok takes down my video for saying that, but let's be accurate in our descriptions. That was a strategic act of civil disobedience on Ben's part. He knew, as a prominent public figure, Ben and Jerry are much beloved. I don't know what the understanding of them is outside of the United States, but here, people love Ben and Jerry. They understand that these are good guys. They love their ice cream. There's a lot of nostalgia for the brand. So when you see Ben Cohen goes and gets arrested for speaking up on behalf of the people of Palestine, that is going to get so much more attention in the press, right? He used his position as a public figure, knowing he would get arrested, to draw attention to what is happening and how our government is complicit in it. But under a fascist regime, we are seeing more and more and more corporations who are not willing to stand up, right? Because they have decided they will make more money. It's more profitable for them to bend the knee and become collaborators with fascism, to throw the American people and democracy under the bus. They think they will make more money kissing Trump's butt and doing his bidding. And so they are betraying all of us. We are seeing over and over and over again corporations. Just yesterday, Disney, once again betraying all of us and saying, hey, we're perfectly willing to be a collaborator with fascism because it's going to get us our sweet, sweet merger deal that we want. We're going to make millions and billions and gobs and gobs and gobs of money if we just bend the knee to fascism. If we just throw vulnerable Americans under the bus, if we just undermine democracy in the United States, we'll make more money. So we're okay with it. But Ben and Jerry are not willing to do that. So yesterday, Ben Cohen shared a letter from Jerry Greenfield in which he said it was a painful decision, but that Unilever had been silencing the company's ability to speak up on global issues, especially the conflict in Gaza, and that Jerry decided he was going to step down. It's with a broken heart that I have decided I can no longer, in good conscience, after 47 years, remain an employee of Ben&Jerry's, Jerry Greenfield wrote in a post on Twitter. The departure comes despite a merger agreement with Unilever, which, again, they bought Ben&Jerry's back in 2000 for $326 million that was supposed to safeguard the Vermont-based company's ability to speak on social issues and to have independence. Back in 2021, Ben&Jerry's said they would stop selling their products in Israeli-occupied West Bank territory. And this is really what kind of brought to a head their conflict with Unilever, and it's just continued to be not a good scene since. It's profoundly disappointing to come to the conclusion that the independence, the very basis of our sale to Unilever, is gone, Jerry said in his letter. Unilever is now spinning Ben&Jerry's off into a new entity known as Magnum Ice Cream Company, which is set to list Ben&Jerry's among its subsidiaries in November. I know that in this day and age, people are looking at how they as consumers can vote with their dollars, right? We vote at the ballot box, but we live in a capitalistic society. And the only language that corporations speak is money. And just like we have the collective power at the ballot box, we as the American people have the collective power when it comes to voting with our dollars, our impact on the economy. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that Ben&Jerry are no longer with Ben&Jerry's. It is owned by Unilever, and that the reason that Jerry left is specifically because they were silencing him speaking out on Gaza. So when we look at brand loyalty, right, I know people want to support brands that are doing good work. I think often we're too quick to assume that somebody is doing good work as a business, right? Businesses don't typically have like an ethical stance. Their only motivation is profit. How can they increase dividends for the shareholders? How can they increase CEO bonuses? Right? Corporations are not moral entities, but we do know there are some businesses like Ben&Jerry's that have, from their inception, a focus on social justice. We also know there are corporations that are run by individuals who are opposed to fascism, that are willing to stand up against fascism. We need to be giving those folks our support. We need to not only say, I'm canceling my Disney Plus membership immediately. I mean, my family didn't have one, but if you have one, cancel it. Cancel your Hulu membership. What can you do besides just withdrawing your money from those corporations that are supporting fascism? You can, one, let them know, you're not seeing another penny of my money. I will never support your organization again as long as you are collaborating with fascism. I will make sure all my family members and all my neighbors know that you are throwing Americans under the bus, and we're all going to cancel our memberships. Get ready. There is a concerted, organized boycott against Disney that's about to roll out in the next 24 hours. But then you can take it one step further. How do you take your pennies and funnel them to organizations that are standing up, that are doing good? One suggestion that came out of the Indivisible call today was like, okay, if I cancel my, my Hulu and my Disney Plus, should I then support like Zeteo, which is run by Mehdi Hassan, who is hiring people who have been fired for having journalistic integrity? Right? Corporate legacy media that's in the pocket of the regime is firing people who are like doing their job as journalists. And Zeteo is saying, we'll hire you. How can you give your money that you were giving to Disney Plus every month and support PBS? If you are like, oh, my kids really love Disney shows. Cool. How can you move them over here so that they can support public broadcasting? Your kids can watch educational children's programming instead. Or take that money and donate it to your local library and get your kids like the Canopy app or Libby and get your kids really cool audiobooks for free from the library, right? We as consumers not only have the power to withdraw our financial support from those corporations that are betraying all of us, are undermining our rights, and are supporting the destruction of our democracy, but then we also can take our pennies and support the people who are standing up. We need to support the resistance movement. And in a capitalistic society, there are businesses, there are independent journalists, there are organizations that are willing to stand on the right side of history, and we can and should be supporting them. Part of the reason that I wanted to highlight this story in particular is because a lot of us have perceived that Ben&Jerry's are that kind of an organization. And now it's very, very clear that they are not. Sorry that my Discord notifications keep popping off while I'm filming. I hope it's not too distracting. So also be aware of the fact that Unilever is a huge corporation that owns a gajillion different brands. So if you're pissed off over the fact that Unilever was silencing Ben&Jerry's from discussing the reality of what's happening in Gaza, then I encourage you to think about whether or not you want to put together a list of Unilever corporations, put it on your fridge and say, I'm not going to shop from any of these guys ever again. And keep in mind, I'm going to list some of those businesses here. Unilever has more than 400 brands, so I can't list them all for you here. Actually, if I post this to YouTube, I'll probably link in the video description where you can find all of their brands. But keep in mind, an active boycott has to be organized. You have to have lots of people participating, and you have to have demands. You have to have demands. The demand should be stop supporting the regime of Donald Trump. Stop supporting fascism and silencing your employees, people in your organization, from speaking out against it, or you will never see another penny of my money again. Here's just a few of the more than 400 brands that Unilever owns. Hellmann's mayonnaise, Magnum ice cream, Vaseline, Dove, St. Ives, Tresemme, Nexus, Axe body spray, Sure deodorant, Cornetto's, Klondike bars. So yeah, it feels really good to say, I'm not going to give my pennies to these organizations. I encourage you to do that, but I also encourage you to call and let them know why. Send them an email, let them know why. If they're going to lose your pennies, they need to understand the source of your ire, the source of your anger. Part of eroding the pillars of support under the regime, especially when it comes to corporations, is that they have to understand why we are withdrawing our dollars when we decide to withdraw them. We have to make it painful for them to continue to support fascism. We have to make it unprofitable for them to continue to support fascism. So mad props to Ben&Jerry. They're real ones. They've always been real ones. They will continue to be real ones. But don't give Ben&Jerry's your money. Don't give Unilever your money, and let them know why.